Have you heard of Joshua, the Conqueror of Canaan? It's a fascinating story that teaches us about courage, faith, and perseverance. Throughout this leader's journey, we will see how he faced incredible challenges and how his story can inspire us to overcome our own obstacles. Let's explore together the life and teachings of Joshua in this video, discovering valuable lessons that can help us conquer our own Canaans in life. We begin our journey with Joshua, a brave and devoted young man to the Lord, who was chosen by Moses as his successor. From an early age, Joshua demonstrated unwavering faith and a willingness to serve the people of Israel. Moses, the great leader who led the people through the desert for years, recognized exceptional qualities in Joshua that made him worthy of leadership. Joshua grew up in the fields of Goshen, where he learned to trust in the power and promises of the Lord. His heart always burned with the desire to see his people freed from slavery in Egypt and led to the promised land. His devotion was so deep that he became a confidant of Moses, learning from him not only leadership strategies, but also the ways of the Lord. When the crucial moment came for Moses to appoint a successor to lead Israel in the conquest of Canaan, he did not hesitate to choose Joshua. Joshua's courage was evident in his determination to face the challenges ahead. His devotion to the Lord was like a flame that never went out, guiding him every step of the journey to come. Thus, Joshua began his journey as the leader chosen by God to lead the people to the promised land. The people of Israel, led by Joshua, stood on the banks of the Jordan River. On the other side, the promise of the promised land shone like a horizon of hope. But there was an immense obstacle: the turbulent waters of the river that separated Israel from the realization of their destiny. Joshua, with his unwavering faith and trust in the Lord, did not hesitate. He knew that God was with them, guiding every step of the journey. So, in a moment of intense devotion, Joshua raised his voice and called the people, "Prepare yourselves, for today the Lord will work wonders before our eyes. Follow me with courage and confidence, for the God who brought us here will lead us forward." And so, before the astonished eyes of the people, Joshua took the first step towards the waters of the Jordan. A reverent silence hung over the crowd as he advanced, his faith shining like a powerful light. And then the miracle happened. As Joshua moved forward, the waters of the Jordan opened before him, as if recognizing the leader chosen by God. The river, which seemed like an insurmountable barrier, became a safe and dry path for the people to pass through. The hearts of the people of Israel overflowed with gratitude and admiration as they witnessed the power of the Lord in action. Joshua, with tears in his eyes and a smile of faith, led his people through the riverbed. Where once there were turbulent waters, now there was a path of blessings and fulfilled promises. The crossing of the Jordan River was not just a miraculous act, but a moment of deep connection between God and his people, strengthening everyone's faith and preparing them for the challenges and victories that lay ahead in the promised land. Check if you are written on the channel, so you don't miss the next videos about the Holy Bible. The walls of Jericho stood imposingly, challenging human armies with their solidity and height. For the people of Israel, led by Joshua, those walls represented not only a physical obstacle but also a test of faith and obedience to God's commandments. Joshua, trusting in divine guidance, received specific instructions from the Lord on how to conquer the city. He summoned the warriors of Israel and explained the plan. For 7 days, they would march around the walls, carrying the Ark of the Covenant and sounding the sacred trumpets. On the first day, the people marched around Jericho. The curious gazes of the city's inhabitants watched the unusual scene, while the trumpets echoed in the surroundings. But the walls remained unmoved. In the following days, the same scene repeated. The people of Israel followed God's instructions diligently and faithfully, trusting that the promised miracle would happen in due time. And then, on the 7th day, something extraordinary happened. Joshua led the people in another circuit around the walls. As the trumpets sounded and the warriors cried out to the Lord, a tremor began to shake Jericho's foundations. The eyes of the Israelites widened in amazement when, before them, the walls began to crumble stone by stone. The power of God manifested in a grand way, fulfilling the promise made to Joshua and his people. The walls fell, clearing the way for Israel's victory over Jericho. The people celebrated with gratitude and praise, acknowledging that obedience to divine instructions had been crucial to the city's conquest. This iconic victory of Joshua not only demonstrated the importance of obedience to God's instructions, but also strengthened the faith of the people of Israel, showing them that with God by their side, no obstacle is insurmountable. After the thrilling victory in Jericho, the people of Israel were confident and excited about their conquests. However, the next challenge would show the importance of remaining faithful to the Lord's commandments. Joshua, following his military strategies, sent spies to the city of Ai, a small town that seemed like an easy prey after the conquest of Jericho. The spies returned with positive reports, suggesting that only a small force would be needed to defeat Ai. Confidently, the Israelites sent a reduced troop to attack Ai. However, to their surprise and despair, they were defeated. Israel's confidence was shaken, and Joshua sought answers from the Lord. It was revealed that the defeat in Ai occurred due to a sin within the camp of Israel. Achan, a man among the people, had disobeyed divine orders by taking spoils from Jericho that were meant to be consecrated to the Lord. The importance of purity and total obedience to the Lord was highlighted at this moment. Achan not only disobeyed, but also caused the defeat of the entire army of Israel due to his lack of integrity and devotion. Joshua, with sorrow, confronted Achan and his sin, recognizing that communion with the Lord required total obedience and purity of heart. Achan was held accountable for his actions, showing the people of Israel that individual sin can have collective consequences. This experience served as a powerful lesson for the people of Israel, reinforcing the need to remain faithful to the Lord's commandments and to avoid the corruption and selfishness that lead to disobedience. The defeat in Ai became a milestone of learning and spiritual growth for the entire people, reminding them of the importance of living in accordance with divine will. After the lesson learned from the defeat in Ai due to Achan's sin, Joshua demonstrated his political wisdom and spiritual discernment in a delicate situation with the Gibeonites. The Gibeonites were inhabitants of a nearby city called Gibeon. Fearing the strength and might of Israel's army, they decided to act with cunning. Wearing old and worn-out clothes, with dry bread and burst wine skins, the Gibeonites presented themselves before Joshua and the leaders of Israel as ambassadors from a distant land, seeking to make a peace alliance. Joshua, confident in his abilities, did not seek the Lord's guidance and ended up falling for the Gibeonites' deception. He and the leaders of Israel agreed to make a peace alliance with the supposed foreigners, unaware that they were being deceived. Days after the alliance was sealed, the truth was revealed. The Gibeonites were actually inhabitants of the land of Canaan, and their cunning had saved them from imminent destruction at the hands of Israel. Joshua, facing this challenge, encountered a complicated situation. Although deceived, he honored the alliance made, showing his commitment to the word given, even if it was based on a mistake. This demonstrated not only his political wisdom in dealing with the consequences of deception, but also his spiritual discernment in recognizing the importance of integrity and fidelity to commitments made. The alliance with the Gibeonites became an example of how even mistakes can be turned into opportunities for learning and demonstrations of commitment and responsibility. This experience further strengthened Joshua's leadership, preparing him for future challenges in the conquest of Canaan. With the alliance sealed with the Gibeonites, Joshua prepared his army to face a great battle in Merom, where the Canaanite kings united in a desperate attempt to halt Israel's advance. Joshua's strategic ability and military leadership were put to the test in this crucial moment. Israel's army marched determined, trusting in the Lord and the strategies outlined by their leader. Joshua organized his troops, skillfully distributing combat units and establishing attack and defense plans. When the hosts of Israel and the Canaanite kings met in Merom, the battlefield echoed with the sound of cries and weapons. Joshua's ability to lead his troops stood out, inspiring courage and determination in his soldiers. With astute tactics and unwavering courage, Israel's army fought fervently against the Canaanite kings, who found themselves at a disadvantage against the determination and organization of the Israelites. Divine intervention was also evident, strengthening the spirits and confidence of Joshua's warriors. The battle in Merom was intense and decisive. The Canaanite kings, who once considered themselves invincible, were defeated by the hands of Joshua and his army. Israel's victory in Merom further consolidated its control over the region, demonstrating not only Joshua's strategic ability, but also the protection and power of the Lord over his people. This epic battle became part of Israel's history, reminding everyone of the importance of strong leadership, unwavering faith, and trust in divine guidance in moments of conflict and challenge. After the great battles and conquests led by Joshua, the crucial moment of dividing the land among the tribes of Israel arrived. This was a moment of organization and justice, where Joshua played a key role in fulfilling God's promise to Abraham and consolidating the presence of the chosen people in the Promised Land. Joshua summoned the leaders of each tribe for a council, where the territorial boundaries of each were discussed. He understood the importance of distributing the land equitably, ensuring that each tribe received its portion according to divine will. Based on the Lord's guidance, Joshua delineated the land boundaries, considering not only the geographical extent, but also the needs and resources of each tribe. It was a meticulous and fair process, where Joshua's wisdom shone once again. Each tribe received its inheritance according to God's will, and the land of Canaan was divided among them harmoniously. This act not only solidified the presence of the people of Israel in the Promised Land, but also strengthened unity and cohesion among the tribes. The division of the land was a milestone of organization and justice, reminding everyone that God's promises are faithfully fulfilled and that He guides His people in all aspects of their lives. This achievement was a testimony of God's care and love for Israel, laying the foundation for a just and prosperous society in the Promised Land. Continuing Joshua's journey, a new challenge arose. The Philistines, ancient adversaries of Israel, gathered their forces to confront God's chosen people. Joshua, aware of the imminent threat, prepared to face this battle with courage and confidence in divine providence. The Philistines, known for their fierceness and military prowess, advanced with determination, challenging Israel in open field. Joshua's army, though smaller in number, did not waver in the face of the challenge. They were united by faith and conviction that God was on their side. As the hosts prepared for the confrontation, Joshua raised his hands to heaven in prayer, calling for divine intervention, and the Lord responded powerfully. At the crucial moment of the battle, God manifested His protection over His people in an extraordinary way. A storm arose suddenly, casting thunder and lightning upon the ranks of the Philistines. The people of Israel witnessed with awe and gratitude the divine intervention, which caused confusion and panic among the enemies. Joshua, strengthened by the evidence of divine presence, led his warriors with renewed fervor. The battle was intense, but God's intervention ensured Israel's victory over the Philistines. The enemy forces were defeated, and the people's confidence in the Lord grew even stronger. This episode not only demonstrated God's constant protection over His people, but also emphasized the importance of trusting in His providence. Joshua and his army learned that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, faith and dependence on God are crucial to achieving victory. The divine intervention in the Philistine challenge became a powerful lesson for Israel, inspiring them to increasingly rely on the guidance and protection of the Lord in all circumstances. The time came for Joshua, the great leader of Israel, to feel the weight of age and the call to bid farewell to his people. It was an emotional moment, full of significance and memories of the many years of journey, challenges, and victories they shared together. Joshua gathered all the people of Israel, from the leaders of the tribes to the humblest workers, in a special place where everyone could hear his words clearly. The leader's heart was filled with love, gratitude, and concern for the nation he had guided with wisdom and faith over the years. With a firm yet emotional voice, Joshua began his farewell speech. He reminded the Israelites of the many blessings they had received from the Lord since they left Egypt. The wonders, miracles, and divine protection were recounted as testimonies of God's love and care for His people. However, Joshua also didn't fail to mention the responsibilities that came with these blessings. He exhorted the people to remain faithful to the Lord, to obey His commandments, and to turn away from idolatry and injustice. Joshua knew that their faithfulness to God was the key to maintaining their possession of the Promised Land. With tears in his eyes and a grateful heart, Joshua encouraged each individual to continue the story of faith and obedience they had begun. He emphasized the importance of teaching these values to future generations, so that the covenant with God would not be broken and the blessings of the promised land would endure forever. At the end of his speech, Joshua blessed the people, asking the Lord to keep and strengthen them in all their ways. The silence that followed was filled with feelings of gratitude, reverence, and renewed commitment to faith. Joshua's farewell speech was more than words. It was a legacy of faith, love, and leadership that inspired and guided the people of Israel in their spiritual and earthly journey. The solemn moment arrived when Joshua, after a lifetime dedicated to serving God and the people of Israel, prepared for his passage into eternity. His legacy was so profound that it marked not only a page in Israel's history, but also left a powerful example for future generations. As Joshua approached the end of his earthly journey, he gathered the leaders and people of Israel to share his final words and leave his ultimate legacy. His countenance reflected the serenity of those who had walked alongside the Lord and fulfilled their mission faithfully. With a firm yet gentle voice, Joshua recalled the many battles won, promises fulfilled, and divine provisions that never failed. He encouraged the people to remember the Lord's deeds and to remain faithful to the covenant established. But Joshua's heart was not only focused on the past, he also looked to the future with hope and confidence. He exhorted the Israelites to continue the journey of faith, courage, and commitment to God, just as he had done. Joshua made it clear that his life was not just about his personal achievements, but about God's work among his people. He urged each one to seek the Lord's presence, to obey his commandments, and to be an example of righteousness and devotion. As he bid farewell, Joshua blessed the people, entrusting them to the care of the living and true God. His physical death was a moment of sadness for Israel, but his legacy of faith, courage, and commitment to God lived on in future generations, inspiring them to follow in his footsteps and to remain steadfast in the divine covenant. Joshua's passage into eternity was more than the end of a life. It was the beginning of a new phase in Israel's history, where his legacy continued to illuminate the path of God's chosen people. After the death of Joshua, a period of transition opened up for the people of Israel. Without the firm leadership of the great conqueror, the nation experienced a tumultuous cycle of ups and downs, known as the cycle of apostasy and restoration in Judges. Initially, the people remained faithful to the teachings and examples left by Joshua. The covenant with God remained strong, and the promised land was inhabited in peace and prosperity. However, over time, the temptation of idolatry and disobedience began to creep into the hearts of the Israelites. As fidelity to the Lord diminished, the nation plunged into a period of apostasy, drifting away from the paths of justice and truth. The judges, appointed by God to guide and correct the people, often found themselves in a tough battle against idolatry and injustice that spread like weeds. During these dark moments, the people suffered the consequences of their wrong choices. They were oppressed by enemy nations and faced difficulties in all aspects of their lives. It was a time of trial and learning, where the importance of fidelity and obedience to God's commandments was reiterated. However, God did not abandon his people. Amid afflictions and repentance, he raised up courageous and committed judges who led them to restoration and renewal of the covenant. These judges, inspired by the example of Joshua and the divine will, led the people in moments of liberation and restoration. The cycle of apostasy and restoration in Judges is a testimony to God's constant mercy toward his people. Despite failures and relapses, he always offers the opportunity for repentance and renewal of the covenant. This period in Israel's history highlights the importance of fidelity, remembering the teachings of leaders like Joshua and the continuous pursuit of God's will in all areas of life. Joshua, whose name means God is salvation, is not just a historical figure, but also a powerful symbol of spiritual conquest for all of us. His journey from leadership under Moses to the conquest of Canaan teaches us valuable lessons about faith, courage, and trust in God's promise. Just as Joshua led the people of Israel across the Jordan River and conquered the fortified cities of Canaan, we also face our own spiritual challenges. We may encounter obstacles that seem insurmountable, but Joshua's story reminds us that God is with us in every battle. Joshua's faith is an inspiring example for all of us. He trusted in God's promises even in seemingly impossible situations. His unwavering faith reminds us that when we trust in God and follow his ways, He empowers us to overcome any adversity. In addition to faith, Joshua teaches us about courage. He led the people of Israel in difficult battles, facing powerful enemies, but always relying on divine strength and protection. His courage encourages us not to retreat in the face of spiritual challenges, but to confront them with determination and confidence. Finally, Joshua's confidence in God's promise is a central point of his story. He believed that the promised land would be conquered not by human strength, but by God's grace and power. Similarly, we are called to trust in God's promises for our lives and believe that He is capable of doing the impossible in us. Therefore, as we reflect on Joshua's story as a symbol of spiritual conquest, we are encouraged to follow in his footsteps of faith, courage, and trust in God's promise. Regardless of the challenges we face, we can confront them with the certainty that God is with us, strengthening us and guiding us on our spiritual journey. And so we come to the end of this incredible journey through the life of Joshua, the conqueror of Canaan. I hope you have been inspired and learned from the adventures and teachings of this exceptional leader. But don't forget, just as Joshua faced challenges and overcame obstacles, we also have our own battles to face. The key is to keep courage, faith, and determination in our hearts. So, always be alert to the opportunities that life offers, stand firm in your convictions, and remember Joshua's lessons. With these principles in mind, you will be ready to conquer any Canaan you desire on your journey. Keep striving to be the best version of yourself, believing in your dreams, and trusting in divine help. The future is full of possibilities, and with the right attitude, you can achieve great things. Stay strong, persistent, and confident. And may the story of Joshua continue to inspire and guide your steps towards success and the fulfillment of your goals. Until the next adventure,